Welcome to math this year, which is going to look a lot different than what you've seen before. So we are going to go through and explain what it's going to look like this year. But first, we should introduce ourselves. I am Mrs. Bush. I teach at Alpine Elementary. This is my 12th year teaching, and in my former years, I've taught first grade and third grade at Zinzer and at Walker Station. So I've been all over the place.
And I'm Mrs. VanDam. Hello. And I am at Central Elementary, and hard to believe, but this is my 15th year teaching. Crazy. I used to be a resource room teacher and at the 5-6 building, or intermediate building. So I've always been at the same building, but it's always been something different. Middle school, intermediate school, and now an elementary.
Ever changing. Alright, so we are going to be talking about flipped classroom or flipped learning. You may have heard rumors child was in 4th grade as to what was coming up. This is it. So basically, in a nutshell, flipped learning means you're taking the direct instruction out of the classroom setting and sending that home. And then you're taking all of the stuff they used to do at home, bringing it back into the classroom where they have the teacher to help them. So it allows us to be able to work one-on-one with your kid every single day, which is huge. And it lets the kids ask for help in a way that's not very threatening. So that's the gist of what it is. And now you'll get an idea of the gist of how we run it.
Mm-hmm. And so there's a nice visual here just to sort of show you why it's called a flipped classroom. Your child is going to watch a short video at home. We try to keep it less than 10 minutes. And the key, though, is that they're taking some guided notes to help them along so they can refer back to it later. Then what's really nice is when they come back to class, they are ready to discuss that video with other students, with the teacher, and sort of work out if there was anything that they were getting in the way with. Also, students will practice some problems in the video as well. So that will just sort of show if they are starting to get it or if they need more help.
Yep. So we're going to walk through sort of what a typical day would look like, because it's not going to be your normal day in a math class where a teacher's standing up in front teaching and then the students go off and do their work. So this is the homework piece. This is the part that they do at home, is they complete something called a WISC, which is a WSQ. We call it a WISC. Which stands for watch, summarize, and question. And we're going to go through each of those real quick so you get an idea of what we expect from the students when they do these at home. So the first part is the watch. So this is them simply sitting down and watching the videos at home. Simple as be. And we talked about how we try and keep it less than 10 minutes, even shorter than that if we can, as short as we possibly can make it. They take guided notes, which Mrs. VanDam already talked about. And there's always a couple of assigned problems within the video that they need to at least attempt. Even if they don't get them 100% perfect, they need to at least try them so when they come back to class we can talk about them and where they got caught up. So that's the watch part.
Then summarize is just a piece where they need to answer a guiding question and write it down. As teachers, we really like that part because it forces them to do a little more higher level thinking and also works on their writing skills too.
Writing
so
and math.
I know. So it's awesome. It sort of helps them work on a lot of skills, and we really like it. Kids get used to it.
They do. They get a lot better. Expect it to be hard at the beginning,
yes,
but they get much better as the year goes on.
Yep.
And then the last part of the WISC is the question. The question is simply the students writing their own question. Not a question they had about the video, but a question for someone else to solve. And sort of the format of that is it's something another student should be able to solve, and it has to be an example of whatever their assigned learning goal was. So let's say we're talking about equivalent fractions, and their question should be something about equivalent fractions. So it could be find an equivalent fraction to 1/2. That would be an example of a question. That way other people, they end up trading papers in class and solving each other's problems. So that's where the cue comes from.
Now, in school, you might be wondering, well, okay, what are you going to do in school? Well, students will be tapping, as we like to call it.
We have a lot of acronyms.
Yes. So the T stands for thinking, A stands for applying, and then P stands for practicing. And once again, just in more detail, what that's going to mean is the T for thinking. They will be actually discussing their WISC with their other students or classmates, and then also explaining their thinking to the teachers. So beautiful thing is, us teachers, we really get to see who's getting things, who's not, who needs extra help, who's ready to move on.
Well, and if they can explain to their partners or their group mates how to actually solve these problems, and they have a good handle on what they're doing.
Yep.
And then the A is applying. So we are really trying to make it a goal of ours to have the kids do some higher order thinking application stuff. So once the kids have practiced, which we'll get to in a second, all of these problems, and they think they haven't mastered, they're going to end up taking a quiz on the learning goal. And if they pass it, fabulous. They get to move on. They've shown they've done it. And moving on will involve some inquiries connected to it. So these are some higher order thinking skills where they have to really take what they learned and apply it into a real world setting. So oftentimes it'll involve groups, most of the time I would say. But it's the piece where they're actually applying what they've learned now. So that's what the A stands for.
And then the P stands for practicing. Of course, they do need to practice some problems that have to do with that learning goal, just to make sure that they're practicing the right way and feel confident about what they're learning about. So it's just expected that they complete all the assigned problems. We'll have that handy for the students. And then also they have a chance, though, to work collaboratively with each other when they need help. So that's another way to touch base with other people, get help when they need it. And they will also check their own answers. And we just expect that they use their life skills of honesty to go through that process. So,
right. And the students will learn. If they try and cheat and just copy off the answer key, they're not going to pass their quiz.
No, it's not going to help.
It's not going to help. But we expect them to use honesty and integrity. And if they need help, they should come ask us. So that's what they will be doing in class. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I know this is totally new. So we've come up with a list of questions that came up last year when we were doing this. We thought we'd answer these. And then if you have more, please contact us.
So first one, what if I don't have the internet at home?
So glad you asked that. We actually, because of a grant that was written a couple of years ago, we have a DVD burner and duplicator. So all of the videos will be available on DVD. Now, if you have a computer at home, the easiest way is to access it on YouTube or our classroom websites, which we'll get to in a second. But if you don't have that, we do have DVDs available. And how often will there be homework? Because it's not every night.
No. Typically, though, it will be 2 to 3 times a week. Best way just to make sure your child is not getting behind is check their planner. They're expected to write down assignments now in 5th grade, so you should be able to check that to see if they do have a video that they should be watching. Another way to look or double check is classroom websites. We each have a Weebly where you can access that information. And then also another thing that we'll be talking about later on is the Edmodo website. And that's a place where you can see grades. Videos will be on there too. Also, we'll give an update about homework prep maybe from there as well.
Yeah, I usually put down, due tomorrow.
Yeah,
something like that on there. And we'll have a link at the end of this to both of our classroom websites to help you out. All right, math is easy for my kid. Really, really good at math. Is this a good method for them?
Great question. Yes, it actually is, because it forces them to talk about the concepts more often. So if they really got it down, they'll be able to explain it to someone else in their group that maybe doesn't get it as easily. And also, I think we do so much more higher order thinking and really applying what they're learning. So those kids that have it easy, it comes naturally for them, they're still being challenged. So what about the other end? What if my child really struggles in math? Is this going to be good for them?
Of course. Of course it is. And actually, I've had a lot of parent feedback in the past of students who had struggled in math, and this way worked really, really well for them, because they can watch the videos over and over again as often as they want to. And no one will know. No one will know if they have questions. And so if there's a shy student who is very hesitant to raise their hand in class, a lot of times breaking down that whole like having to be in class to ask the question, it eases that tension, and so they can ask questions on Edmodo, and they're not as scared to do that. So it helps for some of the shy kids. And if you want to help your child and you're not sure, I know the way we teach math now is way different than you probably learned it, you can watch the videos too. I know that sounds thrilling, but you certainly are welcome to. And it eases some of that tension between parents trying to tell them how to do it and students thinking that they know all the answers too. So that helps ease some of that. So where do we find the videos? Here is our classroom YouTube channel, and you can write that down, bookmark it, whatever you want. The videos will also be on Edmodo, like we mentioned before, and you'll get information on how to sign up for Edmodo coming within one of the first couple weeks of school. But our classroom YouTube channel is the first place to start, and we'll put links to our websites as well on the end of this. So hopefully that helped answer some questions, and if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to email or call Alpine or Central.